got mail. Good morning, everybody. You turn to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Spence.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Gal is here.
Good morning. Good to be back.
Good. It's great to have you back. And Katie's here. It looks like
Good
she's
morning.
Good
Yeah, my
morning.
camera decided to turn off.
Kick it.
Yeah, I know, right?
um, our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by Vimix Software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. Another week gone by. Gal is back. Spence is out of town, but joining us with his phone.
I apologize for the thunder.
Oh, yeah, we could hear that, sure.
Yeah.
Other than see you jump. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, what happened this week?
So I joined another game jam. So I'm making another video game in Godot and loving it so far. Learning new things every day. Yesterday I learned what a state machine was and how to execute it, and also wanting to throw my computer out the window because of course it didn't work. And I watched a 20-minute tutorial video on how to do it and how to get it to work, and then it's like for every 20 minutes of learning something, it takes 3 hours of troubleshooting. Um,
That's
but
okay.
yeah. But I got it to work, and that was satisfying. And so now I just have to finagle it.
Nice.
So
Very nice.
learning new things every day.
Very, very nice. I had a weird. I don't know if I'm just it's all in my head or what. I told you that a few weeks ago I got a notice from AT&T that they had a breach.
Yeah.
And
My friends got that too.
then 2 weeks ago I got a notice that your information was part of this breach. And we will give you have a year worth of experience monitoring, whatever. So I went ahead. I waited about a week, and last week I decided, okay, let's sign up. So I went and did it and everything. And okay. The next day I get an email, not an email, a notice to go and check my credit stuff. So I go there and they said, your social security number was found on the dark web. And kind of they tell you what to do to go and put a fraud alert on Experian and blah, blah, blah. The thing that's weird is I don't know how many of you have Discover card. Discover card does it. They do it all the time. They check. And every month I get, there's nothing new to report, nothing new to report, nothing new to report. Now that breach, according to AT&T, now I don't know, happened 4 years ago.
So there's probably 10 Nissans running around.
Well, the next day, I got a notice from Discover. Your social security was found on the dark web. And I'm saying, okay.
Yeah, so the reason this is happening in this order, right?
Yeah.
It's not because they scan the dark web. It's because they just notify you about known breaches. right?
Yeah, but I mean, they were talking about the Social Security that's on the
Right.
listed.
So the way reporting about a breach works, right, is okay, we had a breach, and then there is, uh, especially with let's say, have you been pawned, right? Then whoever is breached gives the information, right, to some security specialists, and they they hold these databases.
Mhm.
Some of them sell them, some of
Yeah.
them just give them. They hold these databases in a secure way, but so security researchers can look into them, right? And so a report like the one you get from Discover, right? Their service, they know your social security
Yeah.
number, and they check with an API seeing is this social security number exposed via those databases. Now that the AT&T database has been provided, right, then they can report on it.
Oh,
It's not
okay.
like they scan the dark web for you.
So they're just
So
basing it on what?
it on their report. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
they made the report public, essentially.
yeah,
Well,
it was
yes, it's
really
they're
weird.
exposing it to an API. So
Yeah.
you can ask if my social security number has been exposed. You cannot ask, show me all social security numbers exposed, right? Two different
Yeah.
ways. It's like
I
you
see.
can call information services and ask for a specific person's number, right? But you cannot reverse engineer the number to the person. At least you're not supposed to, right? So the API works the other way around, basically.
Okay. I just thought it was weird that
Yeah, it's because it's
that's
been reported.
yeah.
Actually
Okay.
makes total sense.
Yeah, so now I still didn't do anything about
Do
flagging
you
it
have
because it's I mean 4 years ago.
do you have freezes on on the credit reporting companies?
Yeah, I put
Oh,
on all of
freezes. Yeah.
ours.
Yeah.
Yes. So I've had
Free
it for
ones.
Yeah.
inconvenient when you want to apply for a loan because you got
Right.
to figure
And
when
then
you're
you
going to
have
use.
to open it. Yeah.
Yeah, but
But
that's
but
I remember.
when you do that, you can also say, I want to open it for a day or for 2 days
It
and
Yeah,
then
depends on the
close it.
service.
Yeah.
It depends on the service, but yeah.
Yeah.
temporary lift.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of them only works from the website. The other the other two, they have an app, but at least one of them hides it even inside the app in like 3 layers of pages. Other and every single layer you get like a promotion by our service,
Uh,
right?
Yeah,
Oh, I can. So they have a lock and they have a freeze, and a
right.
freeze is free, and the lock costs you money,
Yeah.
like $20 a month or something like that. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but there was the North Carolina Secretary of State that actually made arrangements for all North Carolinians to have free freezing.
That
And
was
so
back when who was that got breached? One of the three. It was an Experian.
Equifax,
Equifax, remember like a
yeah.
few years ago? Yeah. And that's when
And
we put the freeze.
apparently there's a fourth one now. Because when we recently bought the car, we we actually financed it for like 2 months and paid it off. But um, the credit report, he said, "Oh no, you have to open up all four." I said, "Well, which one do you use?" "Oh, I won't know until I apply," he said, "for your credit."
Hmm.
I said, "Well, you need to tell me because I'm not opening all four."
Yeah.
They did find out which one,
Yeah,
and
they don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
he said he didn't know there was a fourth one.
And
Yeah, no, nobody really uses the fourth one,
Yeah,
uh, but
it's there.
but they don't even know which one they're using, and that's ridiculous.
It is.
I
yeah.
I remember one one transaction I did where they told me, and I was surprised. Oh, you actually know? It's like, oh, that's great. Yeah.
The,
Yeah.
I never thought about it, but I thought about it last week, and I said, okay, AT&T. I have internet service with them.
Right.
I pay it monthly from a credit card.
Right.
Why did they need my social security to begin with? I'm trying to
Oh,
think.
that's just to report that that's just to report you to credit bureaus if you do not pay. That's all.
Yeah, well, that's
That is
kind
the
of,
only reason.
yeah, yeah, true. That's right. They do need it for that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only reason. That's the thing about these credit bureaus is this number, social security number, right?
Hmm.
Once you have it, it is cannot be changed. It cannot write, and there. It's not even attached to a photo, to any biometric
Right.
data. Uh, there's no way to refute, right? That so the amount of data exposed next to that social security number is enormous, right? Um, and and here in the states is the only place in the world where I've seen that there's actually understanding of the security implication of this, but still, it is as a newcomer to the country 10 years ago, right? Um, I was asked that social security number left and right as if it's a very, very simple thing that I should be giving away.
Hmm.
And and it's nuts, right?
It is
Uh,
nuts.
so there needs to be something needs to be done about that.
I now, if I'm filling out an application or if I go into a new doctor and they have that field, I don't put anything in there. And at least the last few times
Yeah,
I've done, hasn't stopped me. It doesn't
there
say,
is no reason in a doctor appointment that you need to. Yeah,
no, at least it doesn't stop you. It doesn't say optional, but it does not stop you from proceeding with a blank.
yeah.
But I
No,
put your,
what's that?
I, I put in your number and I was able to get through it.
Oh yeah, yeah, no.
Anyway, that was it does disturb me. I mean, you think about it, but I was even thinking, I should put everything in Kathy's name. Let be on her social security now. So mine is I can't do anything with. But I think it's just being paranoid.
What would be nice is to mandate by law that everybody has a free access to opening and closing your credit instantly. I know my aunt has a service she pays for where she can go, if she's going to apply for credit, she just goes on her phone, she calls them, unfreeze my credit for 10 minutes. And she can do it, open a credit right there.
I
So
do
why
it
can't,
from I do it from the computer.
yeah, but if some of them are really hard, like I was saying, I think it's Equifax or Experian. It's super hard to do.
Well, what I did is on each bureau I had papers that the state sent back with Equifax, and I wrote down what to do. So now, I mean, because you don't do it a lot, you don't remember what to do. So now I take up the form, and on it, it's written, do this, click on that, then go over there and click that and do that. So it's not, it may be, and you're right, it was hell to do it the first time because you don't know where to go and what to do and the difference between lock and freeze. And I remember all that, but now it's pretty simple.
I, the problem I had is that I hadn't done it very often.
Right.
And when I went to my notes, oh, well, it's a new login now, or
No.
the web
uh,
page has changed, or something different was about, oh, you have to create a
um
page, don't use this.
that did happen. And what I did is I just went on Google and I said freezing or opening unfreezing account or something like that on, I can't remember if it was TransUnion or whatever, and there was the instructions. Just click here, click here, click here, click that, and you'd be there. But yeah, it's something that everybody should be able to do, and anybody who puts their mind to it can. So anyway, it's done is done. All right. So China ordered Apple to remove some of the world's most popular chat messaging apps from its app store in the country. The latest example of censorship demands on the iPhone seller in the company's second biggest market. WhatsApp and Threads, as well as messaging platforms Signal, Telegram, and Line, I never heard of Line, were taken off the Chinese App Store last Friday. Apple said it was told to remove certain apps because of national security concerns, without specifying which. We are obligated to follow the laws in the countries where we operate, even when we disagree. So he told him,
Yeah.
hey, go ahead.
And there is only one option for an app store on an Apple.
That's right. Yeah. That you know what? That's in this case, it was easy for Apple to do because you just go there and you do it, and that's it. But I'm sure that people will be able to download it and use it. I mean, there's all kind of ways.
No, only if they what's it called, jailbreak
Yeah.
the Apple, and they've blocked most of the options there, right? It's not an easy
Yeah,
task.
but it's easy. Now, well, let's put it this way: it's easy for those that already done it and they know what they're doing and they want to use that.
No,
Still
that's
not.
not true.
On
No,
Apple,
because
it's
every
very,
version, it's the options are blocked more and more.
Oh,
So if you haven't jailbroken it and kept it on an older version, then no, an older version stopped working.
oh, okay. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't have never had to
I,
do that, and
yeah, it's pretty locked down, but it'll be interesting to see what the antitrust suit does with this, because that's what it's all about, the App Store.
Yeah, but the antitrust suit has nothing to do with China. So what they do in China, right?
yeah.
Well,
That is not affected.
what I'm saying is if they change the App Store ecosystem, it'll change in China too.
Not necessarily, because if the government forbids them of doing that there, right? They've already created the system that blocks everything. So now they'll have a version for China and they'll have a version for the rest of the world.
Just like the EU.
I mean, look at Microsoft, right? There's a Windows version for the rest of the world, and there's a Windows version for Germany because of specific lawsuits that were there with Media Player and IE, if you remember back in the early 2000s. So that's what's going to happen. You will be able to, maybe you'll be able to install a US version, or maybe it'll open the Chinese market for, for them to buy international versions more, right, where they can choose which firmware to install. But as 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 far as government goes, right, they can mandate whatever they want.
Well, you can, with an iPhone, you can change your profile to a developer profile, which will allow you to load stuff that's not fully sanctioned. But it's only through, like you have to go to that developer's website and download the app that way, but it's not like open to anybody to do that.
Right, and you need to register your name, and you need to
Yeah.
probably give a credit card, or you need to identify yourself. So government-wise, you're even more under scrutiny, right? So
Oh,
It's just more screen. It's more screening that you just know about that you didn't know about before.
exactly.
all right. Here's another piece of news here. Roku has made two-factor authentication mandatory for all users following two credential stuffing attacks that compromised approximately 591,000 customer accounts and led to unauthorized purchases in fewer than 400 cases.
Yeah, but the two-factor authentication they've activated is for probably phone number or email, and the stuffing attack is probably based on the email
Yeah.
account password that has already been breached, and so that's doing nothing. It's not actually two-factor authentication, right? It's
But it
just
makes
two
people
steps
feel
of annoyance.
it makes people feel good, kind of,
Yeah.
if they figured that. And there was something else that they were talking about as far as breaches. Um, all right, I don't. We'll get to it, but it was interesting.
As far as authentication system goes, right? Today there are amazing third-party authentication where you just, some of them open source, some of them paid, right? Where what you do is you basically sort of copy paste a piece of very simple code, right, into your either websites or applications, and that takes over the authentication process,
Mm-hmm.
and that provides you everything from uh, uh, authenticator, like random number authenticator stuff, SMS, email, passkeys, which are becoming more and more prevalent and easy, very easy to use. Not implementing this 5 years ago, right, is already a bad excuse. Not doing something actual about it right now, right, is sheer negligence from any system, not the ones that have already been breached and they've already seen the wrath of their users and stockholders and etc. Right? It's just this needs to stop. Right?
Needs
There are
to.
better
Yeah.
way to authenticate today.
I
Without
was.
saying who they are, without saying who they are, a place that I had worked in the last several years had to access their administrative system told us to use Authenticator, which is an actual product,
Yeah.
and load it on your phone or whatever. And it turns out it was optional. You didn't have to do it. You could still do username password if you wanted to. They weren't forcing you to do it. So and people were struggling with trying to get this to work because there were so many different platforms, phone platforms that people had that they basically gave up with enforcing it because it created so much of a headache. So what good is it if they put it out there and they don't make you use it? So
One thing I will say, right? It has been a struggle across the years because these security systems at first they seem like they're hindering the process of work, right? But they have been streamlined in such a way today that um, one, I do not need at work, right? I do not need to enter my password anywhere. What I get is I get a notification once everything has been set up. And yes, I do have a password and I do need to know it from time to time. But most of the time, right, what I just need to do is I get a notification to my phone and I enter the number that I see on the screen on my phone. I put my thumbprint, right? The process itself is painless. I do not need to remember anything. I just need to make sure my phone is with me. Uh, and it's locked and encrypted and all that, right? And if I lose my phone, for example, they can wipe out that piece of application, not necessarily the entire phone. I can allow it to wipe the entire phone if they ask me to, but they can wipe up their piece of data, the data that my company owns that is on my phone. They can wipe that out completely, and so that phone can no longer compromise anything, right? So the process itself is painless. I still retain my privacy on my phone, except for work stuff. So this security balance has already been stabilized for a few years now. So it's just about, yeah, let's just use this everywhere, right? And
plus, you have a very good IT department. who set it up, and their support is good. And so the place that I work didn't have that. So they just kind of threw in the towel when they realized they couldn't support it.
Yeah,
But
I still remember you had Spence, you had something really uh neat, that card that was generating every time
oh,
you want.
Yeah, those used to be hardware.
It's a hardware,
remember
yeah.
Yeah, remember YubiKey?
Uh,
RSA key, YubiKey. Yeah,
Yeah, they're still around, right?
yeah. They're selling these discount key type security keys, right? But today, now that every Windows 11 Plus has a TPM chip, right? Uh, and so encryption is a lot safer. It cannot be duplicated easily. Uh, the whole concept of passkeys. If you've logged in recently to Google, right, then you might have noticed that they've uh, revamped the login process. And the first time you'll enter your username password, it'll ask you whether you want to save a passkey. We talked about passkeys probably 2 years
yeah.
ago um, when the standard started coming out, and I said, yeah, it's a neat idea back then, but it'll take time until we see it implemented and actually used. And I gotta say, the way it works, at least in Windows today, and I'm guessing in Mac it's the same, and the idea for it um, on phones is probably very similar, right? Uh, it is the handshake from the service, right? Requests a passkey, and that passkey can be stored on the machine or on the vault that you're using. I actually use it with Bitwarden, and so I got a prompt from my uh, uh, from the website, from Google, from Gmail, for example, right? And all I need to do is either put in my PIN for the machine if I pass it to the Windows machine. I use the Bitwarden browser extension. I get a list of the passkeys that I've already stored for this website in case I have multiple, and I say this is the one, and I'm already authenticated to my vault, and that's saved and encrypted, and I trust that, right? The whole process is painless. I didn't even need to put in my email. All I need to say is log in with a passkey. My passkey already credentials, and it's already secure on my end. And that interaction that happens between the website and passkey provider, that cannot be replicated, cannot be stuffed. It cannot. It's they did a phenomenal work in the way to authenticate the source and the integrity of the files. So that that puts away the need for password, basically, right? You'll still need to encrypt your vault, but once you have secured your vault, which nobody else can access, right? Unless it's even if it's stored remotely, if it's encrypted properly, then yes, maybe it can be copied, but it probably can't be cracked, uh, not easily. Um, then you're in a much better state than you were with a username password that you just remembered. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you have an option of starting to using passkeys, as long as you understand where the passkey is stored, definitely go for that. Start using that.
Yeah, it's not there yet.
Actually, it's available,
Oh,
so
no, no,
it's
it's
not
available,
everywhere.
but most
No, it's not everywhere, but
right.
in all of the basic stuff that you're using today, your Windows machine or your Mac, right? Your browsers, Edge, Chrome, Firefox, and any probably most of the modern password vaults themselves, if you subscribe to one, right? They all provide this today, and services like Gmail, um, I don't know about Facebook because I haven't logged in a while, but I've seen it on uh, I've seen it on social media on one of the social media sites. I don't remember which one. So you're starting to see it more and more. The more it's going to be available, just the more you're going to use it, and the more secure you are.
Okay. All right.
The nice thing about it, you didn't need to expose an email or a phone number or anything like that. I mean, the website will still ask you probably because it wants to send you spam, but the authentication process itself does not need to expose your identity in any way. So that means, right, that that specific aspect of it cannot be breached. And that's important, right, going forward
Mm.
because it is getting more and more complex. The breaches are getting more and more complex.
Yep.
So something needed to be done, and finally, it is being done. I want to see it on a
Everywhere.
bank's website, right? I want to see it when I communicate with the government. I want to see it there, but uh, there we're stuck with. I mean, there are still banks that limit you to 10-digit,
Yeah.
10 character password, right?
Yep.
What is that about?
I know.
So come on.
Or four digit pins, right?
Well, 4-digit pins, I get that is a convenience, right? And it's usually for very limited interactions. Uh, but for a website, 10
Yeah.
characters, come on, man.
I ran into that creating a new ID, and it said limited number of characters and no special characters, which
Yeah,
I thought was insane. But yeah, I I use for
Yeah.
my Wi-Fi password at home. It's just a phrase. It's actual phrases because I've been doing that forever. But now that we learned that phrases are safer than just mixed characters.
the longer it is, the better it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And
And
a
long.
phrase is so much easier to remember, right?
It annoys people when I tell them what my password is because they have to put it in, but it's okay. Especially when
No,
you're logging in a new Fire Stick or Roku and you have to go through I have a Bluetooth keyboard now that I use for that. It works
yeah.
good.
talking about 2FA, two-factor authentication, we were talking in the past about, using an email or using a cell phone um, for that for the second level. The thing what I was trying to remember is there was a story now last week that T-Mobile employees are getting messages from crackers that say, "We'll pay you $300 for each SIM swap that you would do, and let us know." So what that means is that you go with your phone to a T-Mobile or to any of the providers, and they take the phone in order to work on it to do something. They can swap a SIM in it, and write down the information about that SIM and let these people know. And at that point, I mean, you know nothing about it. But if you have two-factor authentication, goes to your phone, they can catch the transaction and go and do something. Um, T-Mobile is all over the world, so I guess that's again something that it's like fishing in a barrel, so to speak. It's easy to catch somebody, but if you don't take your phone in to for them to do something behind the counter or behind the wall or whatever, you don't need to worry about it. Because as long as your uh, SIM is the same SIM that was there all along, everything is fine.
Oh, but they have this, the T-Mobile employees, they need to make a little extra money.
Well,
So why,
yeah, well,
why do you want to,
that's what they're banking on.
yeah,
Yeah. All right.
you know,
Um, here's something a little on the funnier side. A software glitch in the ticket in, cash out machines at Star Casino in Sydney, Australia.
Ooh, I'm familiar with this.
So it inadvertently give away $2.05 million over several weeks. This glitch
Whoa.
allowed gamblers to reuse a receipt for slot machine winnings, leading to unwarranted cash payouts which went undetected due to a systematic failure in oversight and audit processes.
Whoa, I don't know how they missed that.
Oh,
Whoa.
and do they have a method to find out,
I don't
go
know.
back,
They
basically figure who got the money?
Yeah.
The I searched for it, and the subtitle is "Nobody cared enough to check why audits were out of whack."
jeez.
Yeah, because it's all documented. I mean, you have to put in your driver's license or so well to get started, you have to put in your credit card or whatever. Just to get your first ticket or when you play a game or something. So they have each person gets a profile. But
Well, it's not that people. It's not that whoever was running the casino couldn't notice that this was happening. It's just when it was happening, the anomaly, the difference
The-
between what is expected and what is not, right? Didn't bother too many people to see where the glitch is happening.
yeah,
Where is this siphoning out of
yeah,
until it became just
$2 million.
ridiculous.
You know what that says to me? It says to me that their numbers are always off. And so the person that was
Exactly.
reviewing the numbers was just like, hey, this is normal. They're always off. Until
Something like that. Yeah.
yeah, until somebody was like, hey, wait a minute, this is $2 million we've given away.
I
Yeah,
just was,
Go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say, I just was watching Office Space. I couldn't watch the
Oh,
whole,
yeah.
it got to the hotel room and that just reminded me of how they, were taking all the less than one penny transactions and
Yeah.
forwarding. Yeah,
Oh.
what a good movie.
All right, so are we all using WhatsApp also?
I'm
Yeah.
using it.
Yeah.
I'm using.
So listen to this. WhatsApp users in the US will soon see support for real-time AI image generation. As soon as you start typing a text to image prompt in a chat with Meta AI, you'll see how the image changes as you add more detail about what you want to create. In an example shared by Meta, a user typed in the prompt, imagine a soccer game on Mars. So I want to understand, and it goes on. What's the use? I mean, this is a chatting
I
thing.
was just thinking that too. Like, why?
Yeah.
It's those stickers thing. There's a huge market for stickers, so I'm guessing it's just to liven up the conversation. It's like filters on photos, right? On cameras. It's a gimmick.
It's a time waster to do this because you have to interact with the
Amnon,
bot with
you do
whatever
not
to
live in WhatsApp. You use WhatsApp to communicate,
yeah.
right? There are people who actually live in WhatsApp, like their
Well,
entire days in WhatsApp. So they need to waste time somehow. I fine, whatever.
Or you could become a professional travel reporter and say, well, today I'm at this hotel in Malaysia on the beach, and you just create a picture of yourself sitting on the beach,
Yeah.
and you never
The
leave it.
the
I
way
don't
I
know.
see it, it's even more sinister than that. The moment you approve the AI interaction, that means all of your chats are going to the AI bot. Everything, entire context. So if you are if you were freaking out about privacy before, right?
Mm.
Now you're going to be totally freaked out. As long as it's opt out, fine, add it. Do whatever you want. But I hope it's just
They
opt out.
don't mention anything about opting out. They said that
Well, it's because nobody knows how it'll look like, right? It's
yeah.
just a rumor at this point, or a
No, it's
notice that
it
technology is coming, but nobody's seen an in implementation. So
it says if you have access to the beta. It's not. I guess not many
yeah,
people do.
that doesn't mean anything.
Says you can try the feature by yourself by opening a chat with Meta AI and then start a prompt with the word imagine.
Ah, okay. So you need
But you
so
need to,
it's just
but you need the beta version of WhatsApp.
yeah, but hold on. So that's not something different. If it's in a specific conversation, right? It's just a different API. So if I want to send you like an image, a funny image, because we just had an exchange and I have a joke and I want it drawn, right? Then yeah, instead of going out, opening the website, let's say for Copilot or for ChatGPT, and ask for it, then all you do is you go to the AI, right, and you ask for it. Then yeah, then it's a nice feature, right? Uh, as long as you're not overexposing yourself, fine. I thought they're going to embed it as part of the in chat experience that you have when
They,
you send.
but well, they do, but you have to chat with it because it said
Yeah,
that
it's one on one
imagines
with you
it.
and that AI bot.
So it says that in the prompt. I mean, you type in imagine a soccer game on Mars. The generated image quickly changes from a typical soccer player to showing an entire soccer field on a Martian landscape. I mean, as you type in, the image changes.
Yeah, and it's a
So
showcase for technology.
now,
At this point, it's a gimmick. They don't know what to do with it yet. It's nice at the beginning, then it'll become annoying, and then it'll become useless because it'll be
right, that's and
behind paywalls and stuff, right? It's yeah, we've seen
yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah. All right, Discord, an online service, is scraping Discord servers and mass, archiving and tracking users' messages and activity across servers, including what voice channels they join, and then selling access to the data of the to the data for as little as $5. Called Spy Pit. The service's creator says it scrapes more than 10,000 Discord servers, and besides selling access to anyone with cryptocurrency, it's also offering the data for training AI models or to assist law enforcement agencies, according to its website. So now everything that you do on Discord is being scraped too.
Well, I mean, it just sounds like Google Analytics for Discord.
What?
But the real
Yes,
question is,
that's right.
how
Yeah,
do
but
they
it's
access Discord? To to join um, the Discord server, right?
mhm.
Uh, there's a process of invite. Somebody runs the server. Somebody manages the server, and servers can be completely open, or they can be invite only. Right? There's and by default they're invite only. By the way, so I wonder how it does what it does. It'll be interesting to read.
On what gaming platforms use Discord?
None. Discord
Is a
is a
platform,
separate server
kind of.
for service for chat
Like Skype.
and voice
I,
communication.
Yeah.
There was some story I read this past week. I have to go back and try to find it, talking about how there was some gaming platform that actually used Discord for their communications among gamers.
A lot of them.
Well,
Oh, yeah, well, you have
yeah,
servers. It's like a forum. You have forums with similar interests. So you join these servers, these communities, and nowadays uh gaming companies or online companies have Discord because they're using it as like customer support or like a way to have direct access to the customers or the gamers or the whatever. So a
But it,
lot. Sorry, go ahead.
and think about you've seen Teams,
see what?
Microsoft Teams.
Yeah, oh
Have
yeah,
you seen that? So exactly Slack, exactly the same idea, right? It's just the client itself allows you to connect to a lot of communities, a lot of these servers, and you're a member in any of these servers, right? And you can interact in each of them. And each
yeah.
server has chats which act like online, like IRC, old school, right? Chats like group chats, or you can have personal one-on-ones, or you can have voice chats. You can have also it does Zoom today. You can also do videos as well. So
Yeah. My
it's
only
just
experience with Discord is using it just like if you belong to a specific podcast, or you belong to some and their
right,
comment.
Right. They will tell you
right.
that their chat is that you can go to Discord to chat and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, so
Right. And it interconnects with the games and all that. So it says on Discord what game you're playing on right now and stuff like that. And so
right.
it's very integrated with the gaming world.
Yep.
That's what I was thinking. But there was some kind of alert. They were saying that there were uh, people on Discord taking advantage of those environments and preying on young people.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. But that's just the communication channel they're already on. That's why.
Yeah.
All right. Next, U.S. telecom provider Frontier Communications shut down its systems after a cybercrime group breached some of its IT systems in a recent cyber attack. This is coming from Bleeping Computer. So they shut down the network and I guess went on fixing. But that's
How long was
Frontier,
that?
right? I don't know
How
that
long?
it was down. It's their IT systems. It's not. It wasn't. It's like the administrative part of it.
Okay, because that would be a huge outage.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because Frontier is a boy. Yeah, huge ISP. Um, but it's interesting to see that systems like that are still vulnerable, even though you would expect an IT department, IT company, technology based company that depends on communications and this is their business, will still be vulnerable to things like that. It's almost like, okay, we'll wait until something happens and then we'll fix it.
Let me
I
ask.
don't know.
Do you
I
really
know.
think? No,
It's
no.
easier
Let me
said
ask. Do
than
you
done.
really think that once somebody gains access to one of your systems,
Yeah,
right,
I know.
that you'll be able to contain it fast? It'll
Oh
take
yeah.
time until you even notice.
Just by notice. Well, no. If they just access it, I will not notice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the thing,
But the
right?
thing, but this is why, in order to have any kind of access, I have to list your IP address, even our customers. If
I
they have a
understand.
dynamic, that's too bad. I mean, unless your IP address is in the firewall, There's
Yeah, but remember, all I need to gain access is for a machine that is whitelisted in your IP address.
that's correct.
Can you say that all of those IP addresses are secure? You can't.
No, I cannot.
Not really, right?
Correct.
So if somebody is orchestrating an attack
A real, yeah,
specifically, right?
yeah,
They'll gain access. They'll
yeah,
find a way.
yeah.
And so yeah, and especially if a system is large and has been around for a long time, it'll happen.
Yeah,
It'll happen. It's
Yeah,
just a matter
all,
of time.
all those back doors have already been published.
Yeah, not only backdoors, like most of the time, what do we hear? We hear of an old insecure database
yeah,
somewhere, blah, 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 right? What does that mean? That means, yeah, we have new systems and we have excellent security, but it doesn't cover 100% of our environment, right?
yeah.
And so sometimes somebody gains access somewhere, right? And and that is when we hear about it. And when we hear about it, it's already too late, right? And sometimes it's
True,
actually hard to assess the damage happened from it.
true,
Yeah, it'll
true.
happen.
Yeah. Backups, 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 backups,
Yep.
and not just one backup. I always,
But make the backup secure and test it and make sure it
yeah,
works.
and not
Yeah,
only
you need
that.
a wait. You need a backup for your backup.
Yeah, you do. We do.
Yeah.
The
Everybody on the net today say 321. You know what 321
no.
is? Three copies, at least. Um, Number two is the second one remote, and
Oh,
there's like
yeah. I mean, you really need to have more than one backup anywhere, and you
yeah,
need to have one. You have to have a remote backup. You have to have a local backup, and even two local backups. But as far as doing the servers for Delta Force, it's does it every night, but it updates it every night. It's not like it's just doing,
incremental. Yeah.
yeah. And I think there's about 30 of them, maybe like a month. No, more than a month. Oh no, I know how it goes. It's a month, but then there are a couple more that you don't go just back one day. You go a week, and then you go
Yeah,
two
yeah,
weeks before
yeah.
that. So I can go and restore stuff from the beginning of January. And it's, I always think about it as a hacker. Hey, I'm going to gain access to a site. I'm not going to do anything if I'm smart. I'm going to, okay, I have access. Leave it alone now. And most people don't do multiple backups. So you do that, and maybe a month later, 2 months later, then you go and you start doing what you want to do. So that outfit goes ahead and restores from a week ago, from 2 weeks ago, from a day, the last night, or whatever. I'm still on it. They did not do
Yeah,
away with me.
but in a secure system,
Yeah.
right? The access that you gain today should go away in a week to a month, right?
How?
So you do not wait. Credentials are going to change.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The
Yeah. Okay.
connections are going to change. So you gained access. You're taking whatever you can.
Oh,
The way to do it is to stay undetected as possible, and there are different ways of doing that,
right.
right? And that means in order to counter attack these, you need different methods of security.
Yeah.
It's not that a firewall isn't needed anymore. It's just a firewall isn't blocking what the next threat.
Hmm.
So you still need the firewall, but then you need whatever is protecting you
But
from the next threat and the next threat and the next threat, right? That's the thing. It
So
Yeah.
what you're
becomes an
saying,
arms race.
so what you're saying is
fine.
to have two
What?
drives instead of one?
Say it again.
It's what you're saying is to have two zip drives instead of one?
Yeah, we probably need to add to Amnon's outro the 3-2-1 backup rule. 3 data copies, 2 types of storage, at least one offsite, right? That's the 3-2-1 rule. That's
Yeah, that's
anywhere you go. This has become the mantra.
and it's not a big deal, and it's not that expensive either these days. And if you think how much what it's gonna cost you, and what it could cost you if you get breached, the cost of the 3-2-1 is not a big deal.
Get breaches, just data corruption
Oh, yeah,
and bad luck,
right,
right?
yeah.
Breaches are you're going it's going to save you from like a crypto what's it?
When they
Yeah,
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 encryption,
from an encryption
encryption.
attack,
Yeah,
right? Uh, it's going to save you from an encryption, but that's probably the 1%
right.
of situations,
Yeah,
right? And you should be ready for the probably 20 to 30% chance that something bad is just going to happen just because
just
Facebook
because
messed
it's
up
going
the
to happen.
DNS,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That'll
yeah,
happen, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
take yeah. I always look at our friend Sarid. He's diligent about his backups,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like really diligent. And I've been working IT for my entire life, and there are still things that I do not have a backup. Right? I'm terrible, and I always look at what he does, and I try to mimic him on that front. So
Yeah.
and I've experienced data loss in in terabytes. Right? Most of the stuff on the terabytes is not that painful, but some of it was. Right? I definitely have memories lost, and in my past. So I'm trying to be more
Oh,
diligent about that.
good.
With that, I want to say so long. So I got to start driving back.
All right.
Now that the weather's wet up a little bit, we haven't got torrential rain and thunder right now, but it's
Where are
got
you
about,
again? I missed it.
what's that?
I said, where are you again?
Wilmington,
Uh,
down here for a wedding.
oh, where's Nick then? You could have dragged him into your hotel room.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. All right, guys, we'll have a good rest of
Bye.
your week.
All right,
Yeah,
Spence.
have a safe trip
Safe
home.
trip.
All right, take it easy.
Take
Bye,
care.
thanks.
Bye.
Bye. So, Katie.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear about WWC?
Is that not wrestling?
No.
Oh, okay. Then no.
Women who code.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wait. I am a part of well, I joined it years ago. It's like Women's Hack or something. I can't remember what it's called, but I keep getting emails where they do things around the triangle and stuff. Go
Well,
ahead.
it's a US based organization of 360,000 people supporting women who work in the tech sector. And it's shutting down due to
Oh,
lack of funding.
dang it. Oh no, you raised my hopes. I'm just gonna start taking programming classes
It
and be like, hey, look
is
at this great resource for women in coding. And by the way, it's going away.
it is with profound sadness that on April 18th they put it, we are announcing the difficult decision to close Women Who Code, following a vote by the board of directors to dissolve the organization. That's a
Dang.
shame.
Yeah.
That's really a shame.
Dang.
But I guess it used to be something.
I need to look up the hack thing. Because it's
Oh,
not I don't think it's women who code. Let me see. Women
this
hack.
is
Yeah, it's
and
just called women hack.
and last week Meta unleashed its Chat GPT competitor, Meta AI, across its apps and as a standalone. The company boasts that it is running on its latest, greatest AI model, Llama 3, which was trained on data of the highest quality.
Mm,
A
they
data
can't
set,
verify that.
what?
I said they can't verify that.
Well, a
Can
data
claim
set
it.
7 times larger than Llama 2 and includes 4 times more code. Now, what is that training data?
It's the data
There,
they
the
took
company
from the
is less worthy. They don't tell you.
Yeah, of course not, because it's probably all the data that they've taken from all of their users across all of their platforms. I mean, look
No,
at it.
even if it's not right, they're just exposing themselves. Like they're going to be liable the moment they say where the data is from. So they're
Well,
trying to.
yeah, that's true. And is it a coincidence that Meta owns WhatsApp? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then WhatsApp comes out with the image thing at the same time that Meta announces their AI because
No, they're just saying that's going. No, they're actually it's part of the unrolling, right? They're
no, I know,
saying
I know.
you'll now have access to it from this as well.
Apparently,
Yeah.
they said it across its apps. So it's not
Yeah,
just in WhatsApp, it's everything that has to
exactly.
do with Meta. With Meta.
Instagram, Threads, Facebook, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Threads.
it's interesting.
I don't know of anybody that uses Threads still. That was the that was you want to talk about a big bang fizzle. It's like a flash that went off. It would like they launched it 150 million people joined and then disappeared into the night.
Well, is
Yeah.
Threads
There's some
still
activity there still.
it's still
You,
running?
you, you, you-
Yeah,
well,
it's
you
still
get
running.
notification on Instagram from Threads.
Yeah,
Oh.
but
I never click them, but there is
no.
activity.
Well, there. So this is from my perspective as a user and who an owner of a small business is. I joined Threads as a way to advertise and a way to just talk to my customers and stuff like
Mhm.
that and get people interested in my product. And it was it my experience with it was like an echo chamber. And I don't mean echo chamber in the sense that everybody is just talking to each other or whatever. It literally was like I was throwing stuff into the void and it was getting no interaction. Like it didn't even there's no exchange, no, it was just dead. And so I was like, this is taking too much time and effort. So I went back to my other social media platforms. No, that's just my one experience. I mean, other people could be having better experiences.
Yeah.
Every
Uh,
social network depends on the amount of connections you have in it, right? Your interaction with that social network depends on. Amnon, remember at the beginning of the show, you talked about uh, um, the different chat apps that
yeah.
are being removed on.
Yeah.
You said Line. I don't know anybody. It's
Yeah.
because we do
Line.
not use Line across our peers, right? The same way you and me, we use Signal,
Mhm.
but uh, the crowd that we know that uses Signal is small. It's just the people that we interact with, we keep on
With
interacting there,
yeah.
right? So Signal for us is a very, very closed loop, right? That we know there are like 4 people that we know that are using Signal and we interact there. Uh, the same goes for that. Line is Korean, and most of the people there are from Korea.
Okay.
So it's like most Russian, right? The Russian Facebook is VK, I think it's called, right? And that is where most Russians are, alongside Facebook because their international peers are on Facebook, right? And so it's like this: the more social networks there are going to be, the more disconnected they are going to be from one another.
Mhm.
There is a difference, though, when we look at the distributed uh, um, social world, social networks, those that are run by diaspora, what's it called, Mastodon, those distributed networks, where even though I am part of a particular network, uh, and that network is based on a server or a bunch of servers running it for a specific crowd. Uh, I might still interact with that identity with other networks as well,
Hmm.
right? And that's where things are going. And by the way, Threads, one of their promises was that in the future, I don't think that has happened yet. They will offer connection to that distributed social network. Um, get the
Yep.
name, the way they're coining it. And
It was.
so,
Sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's interesting in my case because, um, from a user experience standpoint, I'm not saying Threads is bad because it's just a social media platform. But I have a healthy Instagram following. And so when I joined Threads, I got a lot of people from Instagram from that follow me on Instagram that followed me on Threads. The problem was is that Threads, the social media experience, didn't have enough to keep those same people on Threads.
Right.
So they, in their mind, they're like, "Well, I prefer using Instagram. Threads isn't offering a unique experience to keep me on it." So they didn't unfollow, they just stopped using the app. And
Right.
so if you the numbers are misleading because if you look at my numbers, I've got a bunch of followers, but they're all inactive. Like and so they everybody came flooding in on the first day because they wanted to try it out and they were like, "Oh, I really like Instagram, I really like Facebook, I really like whatever. Let me use it." And then when they were using it, they're like, "Oh, this isn't giving me something that I want or something different. I'd rather go back to my other social medias." And that's what happened.
Yeah, and remember, Threads was an attempt, right, to win over those who are fleeing Twitter and all that. So um, it it wasn't the architect the there's no architecture of thought around that. It's more
Yeah.
like this is a platform that can be an alternative. Let's see what it does. And nobody was actually spearheading that process. Facebook, when it started, right? It started as grouping from the colleges, right? Grabbing people from colleges, which they had this intention of I want to know who's around me and I want to communicate with who's around me and I want to show my beautiful life to who's around me, right? And uh, uh, that was its pull, right? And that is what created the hype around this. But now, just opening a new platform is just that. It's just a new platform. Who are the people that are going to be on that platform counts. And that's a process, that's a long process, right? And just announcing something has been open is not enough.
Yeah.
So whoever stuck around is still not that interesting because
Yeah.
there's nobody who is using that as its exclusive voice like Twitter used to do, right? There's nobody who, I mean, even Facebook sometimes used to do that in the past, but it's like, yeah, it's just another channel, and most of the people are not on that channel, so it's not that interesting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll happen.
Yeah.
Uh, it'll grow. I'm guessing it'll grow um, uh, more than other Fediverse. Fediverse, that's the name of the distributed federated social network created by Mastodon and peers, right? And similar type of applications. And it's probably going to be the largest one. And so when more adoption of that interconnection with the Fediverse happens, Threads might be a leader eventually. But for now, it's not that interesting, right? But think about this. what will happen if, let's say, WhatsApp suddenly connects, right, with this world? It's suddenly available to also add to a chat somebody from Threads, and like something like that, right? Like the interconnection between their apps, where they decide. So if you're a user at WhatsApp, does that mean that you're also a user on Threads, and does that mean that you're also a user on, I don't know, uh, Trump's Truth Social, right? Like it's suddenly all interconnected. You can just decide that you're following something from somewhere and it's all siphoned through. That'll be an interesting day, but we're not there yet. That's where we're heading eventually. Where you go to Gmail today, you know that I can communicate with Katie that might not be on Gmail. She might be, I don't know, on um, or something like that. They communicate. It'll work the same way. We have the same expectations from at Gmail and at Hotmail, right? And so that'll happen. What we don't want to go to is a world where, like Gmail, we're bombarded by spam. There's no authentication. We don't actually know who the other person is, right? That all needs to be solidified. I mean, even email today is getting better at it, although annoyingly, but it is getting better at it. Uh, but we still need a way of identifying the endpoints properly. That handshake needs to be meaningful, right? And we'll get there eventually. I, I
Hopefully.
think I think if if I'm reading the way things are advancing, this uh, broken world of separate networks. Uh, we talk about Signal, we talk about Telegram, we talk about all of these separate entities. They're going to disappear eventually as completely separate entities. They are going to start to mesh when things um, when we as a society we will adopt some sort of technology that will be ubiquitous. The fact that I use an Android phone and Katie uses an iPhone still means we can communicate, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's just different ways of communication between us, and it's going the barriers of these silos. I think they're going to be um, less and less of an issue. We
I've been
start
trying to get
by
away from talking to
fragmenting
you, and I just
everything.
can't.
What's that?
I said I've been trying to get away from talking to you with my iPhone, but it's letting me talk to you. No, I'm just kidding. Also, look at my cat. He's being so cute.
Yeah. He wants to enjoy the warmth.
Yeah, he wants pets, and he was being patient while I'm doing the show.
Oh, look at that.
He's cute. He's our mascot.
All right. Microsoft is getting ready to annoy its faithful Windows 10 user base with yet another prompt. This time, Microsoft wants Windows 10 users to switch from using a local account to their online Microsoft account.
Never gonna happen.
As first noticed by the outlet Windows Latest, the most recent Windows 10 update release preview includes some information about new notifications added to the operating system intended to make users switch from their local account to their Microsoft account. New. This update starts the rollout of account related notifications for Microsoft accounts in Settings Home. Reads the update, originally from the official Windows blog, which then lays out its case for using a Microsoft account. I hope it doesn't happen, but it's what the article says that it's just something else that's annoying. That the annoying Windows 10 users.
Windows 10
And
really, or Windows really doesn't want you to use Windows 10.
of
for
course not.
Microsoft.
Yeah.
Did
I
you?
I had the pleasure of cleaning up a Windows 10 machine this week.
Yeah.
Uh, an old system that cannot be upgraded to 11,
Right.
and The amount of crap that was there was interesting. I removed Flash,
Wow, jeez.
Adobe Flash from it, and stuff.
Flash.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure there was some sort of malware in the past there that was trying to
Oh my gosh.
launch upon boot, and it was an interesting experience. Just because not because it was Windows 10, just because it was just this old system that
Hmm.
had accumulated stuff for about 10 years. Um, so yeah, it is annoying because the person who's using that machine um, um, will not understand the prompts,
Of course.
right? And I am concerned that it'll pull them through a process that will then lock them out of the machine. So I hope they don't do that. I hope I put in the right securities so they'll be able to I'll be able to restore whatever damage they might do in the future. But yeah,
Yeah, they won't be able to play their Flash files anymore.
well, thankfully they can't do that now because I removed that.
Dude, that's
Did
crazy.
you?
Interestingly enough, the page on Adobe's website for
Mhm.
Flash still exists
Yeah,
with download links. It
yeah,
just says it's out of end of life. It's just
yeah.
past end of life. Yeah.
Whoa.
Did you see that we're going to be able to use Windows 10 for a few more years?
I know, but
But we'll have
I
to
don't
pay.
think they're gonna pay the ransom for getting support. So
That's the thing. I think when that time comes, there's going to be quite a few people who are going to find ways around it. And because something like this, all it does is it promotes piracy. I
in a way,
understand
yeah.
why Microsoft is doing this, and I don't blame them because yes, it's ransom, but it's a ransom in a way. Hey, look, either you pay or please stop using it. It's not like
Yeah, they could go one other route, which they won't, right? Don't get me wrong, and it's open source it.
yeah, they could. They're
Yeah,
not going to
that
do
that
that.
won't happen.
No,
Yeah, that will not happen. I know.
no,
But yeah, look, the reason I call it ransom is because these machines cannot be upgraded to Windows
right.
11, right? The requirements, the hardware requirements do not exist. And not because the CPUs are limited or not. It's just the security requirements. And that's fine, right? That is that is okay. I won't know. We can live with it. But yeah, uh, provide an option, right? That's all. Just provide an option. These these are not the money makers for Microsoft,
Correct.
right? So sell that part of your business to somebody who it can be a money maker for, right? That's what I mean. Like,
Not going to happen.
um, yeah, but yeah, we've seen it before, and it's not gonna happen.
No.
Mm.
The thing that again that I'm I've got a complaint about, and it may just be me, is the machine here. It's ninth generation, ninth or eighth, I don't remember. But it doesn't have TPM. It's a great machine.
Yeah, but you can add TPM.
You can add TPM, and that's my beef with them, with what's out there. You go and you search for the right module for this particular motherboard, and there are about three, four, five, 10 of them, different ones, different prices, and different people say, "Yeah, this one worked." "Oh no, this one didn't work," and another one says, "No, this one worked for me, and this one didn't work." And you say, "Okay, now I'm searching for this specific motherboard." You have to have the company should have some kind of information out there because they're selling it too. and say, okay, here's the motherboard. Here's what we know will work. Now, true, I can buy 2 or 3 of them. They're not expensive, like they're less than $20 a module, and try them. But it's also scary to use something that may screw up the machine while it's still working. Now, I don't want to mess up with it. So I don't know. I don't know. We're all gonna have to do it sooner or later. Yeah, I'm not gonna pay the ransom, and I'll guess it just have to be okay. Go ahead, get the modules, and see which one allows you.
It'll be something like that.
What?
It'll be something like
Yeah.
that.
Huh? We'll see. TPM. Gee. Anyway, now we went through that Netflix raising prices and all that, and everybody was saying, "Oh, they're going to lose a lot of people and all that." Well, last Thursday, Netflix reported a 16% rise in memberships in the first quarter. Now, I don't know how many people dropped back when
The
that
first
happened.
quarter is up until 31 of March, right? March 31.
Yeah.
So if they did it at the beginning of the quarter,
When was the thing when they raised? That was sometime last year in the middle of the year.
yeah, but it's always a quarter. A quarter is either compared to the same quarter last year
Oh,
or to the previous
okay.
quarter, right? So it's all in the way you're presenting it.
So reaching 269.6 million users, beating Wall Street expectations. Starting next year, the company will no longer provide quarterly membership numbers or average revenue per user starting next year. So they reported this, but apparently they're not going to give you that information next year. I don't know. But it's interesting that they, 16% is big time.
Yeah. But remember, there were troubles with other streaming. There were announcements from other streamers as well. I mean, it's a shift, right? People are moving around these services right now, right?
Yeah,
They're not staying in one place.
right.
Uh, at the beginning, it was only Netflix, and then they lost a lot of people because people started moving
Yep.
around,
Yep.
right? I mean, Netflix hasn't really changed, and the only thing that has changed is the landscape. And so there's a lot of people who were shopping around, right? And just have come back to Netflix. So now there is a competition. Now there is this, and Netflix, I think, is always, or at least for a very long run, is going to be the biggest one. So that's just reality.
I think too that anything with statistics, you can kind of stretch the truth. So, like
Yeah.
you talking about, their numbers are up. I wonder if they tried to inflate their numbers by timing their releases. So, what a lot of people do with all these streaming services is that a show will come out, that they'll sign up just for that limited amount of time to watch the show, and if it lines up with when they do the count on if their numbers are good or not, like they could tweak that, if they need to
Yeah, but
bump up their.
I don't think Netflix gives a free trial anymore.
No, I'm not talking about free trial. I'm talking about, like, so One Piece was really popular, or I think the last show that came out that was really popular was Avatar. So Avatar: Last Airbender released,
Yeah.
I don't know, like a last month or a couple months ago. I don't know. Time flies different. And so if they were built wanted to build up their numbers or pad their numbers, then they release the show. People join, only subscribe for 1 month to watch the show, and then they hop off. But technically, the numbers for February are 30%, whatever you just said, 30% higher, 16% higher than what
Yeah.
it was last year, whatever, because they released a highly anticipated show. It doesn't mean
It's
that
all
those
part of that, of
numbers.
course.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that the numbers they raised by 16% doesn't mean that those numbers are consistently at that, because a lot of
That's a
people
good
come
point.
in and they come out.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's this report is for this quarter, right? And they're comparing it to some other quarter. I don't remember if the previous quarter or that same quarter last year. But a 16% is in finance reporting, because they're a public company, they must provide this information because shareholders need to know these numbers, right? Requirement by them. They're required by law to provide these details. And so uh, all that the news article was saying, right, that the number was higher than what analysts said it would be. That's the key phrase, right? Because when something is higher than what analyst says, then that means investors are getting more for what they put in. And if something is lower, that means investors are they're being done wrong with, right? That's all it means. The analyst can say the company will drop in profits in 10%, right? And then the company will drop in profit only by 8%. That is higher, right, in revenue than what the analyst says. That is a good thing. That's the way the market works. It's ridiculous, right? They still lost. They still lost that 8%, right? So this is the same thing. Analyst says they'll reach this level. It was this level. So that's why there's a title. That's why there's an article.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there's media. So and that's what the purpose of the media is. So let's just understand what the purpose of the media is, and let's understand that they're never going to be as high as they used to be, right? Their peak, because when they started, they were the only ones. They created that marketplace. Everyone took their time to open a competitive option. And now that these competitive options exist, right, we're no longer comparing apples and oranges, right? We're just comparing different types of apples. So, yeah. I think they're going to be the bigger one for the long haul. It'll be interesting to see if at any point they're going to become a smaller player, like share half of the marketplace with somebody else. I doubt it, but maybe. I mean, when Android started providing their OS, right? The only other smart OSs around, right, were those from the manufacturers themselves, including Apple. And Apple was the biggest piece of the pie. Today, Android is the biggest piece of the pie because a lot of manufacturers create Android-based phones, right?
Mm-hmm.
And only Apple creates theirs. Still, Apple, they create this monolithic thing, right? Hardware and OS always tied together. And that's what they provide. And so Apple is still a huge, right? Even if it's not the larger one, it's probably the largest block inside that ecosystem. And I'm guessing that is going to be Netflix in the ecosystem of streaming world for a very long time. I mean, Amazon Prime, right, has been right after them, uh, and they keep on growing as well. But because all of their activities tied with the rest of their products, right, then it's always hard to see what specifically goes on there. So Netflix does only that.
Yeah,
That's the
that's their
interesting thing.
thing. Yeah. All right. Watch Katie goes, what? Zilog is retiring the Z80 after 48 years on the market.
I don't even know what that is.
Originally developed as a project stemming from the Intel 8080, it eventually rose to become one of the most popular and widely used 8-bit CPUs in both gaming and general computing devices. The iconic IC device, developed by Federico Fagin, will soon be phased out, and interested parties only have a few months left to place their orders before Zilog's manufacturing partner ends support for the technology.
Oh no.
Federico, an Intel engineer, founded Zilog in '74 after his work on the Intel 4004, the first 4-bit CPU. The Zilog Z80 was then released in July '76, conceived as a software compatible extension and enhancement of the Intel 8080 processor. Now, I remember when I went to PC after the TI and the Sanyo computer back in the early '80s, building a clone. If I'm not mistaken, I mean the Z80 was like a replacement, because I remember you could add it to a motherboard, and
Oh, it was the main CPU
the main
for.
CPU, yeah. But
I had back in the 80s as a kid.
mhm,
My dad, he purchased in Britain. He purchased a Synclo Spectrum,
yeah,
and that was based on these chips. I think it's not even the Z80, but one after that, because the Z80 was the first generation, I think, uh, of Synclo Spectrum machines, and then they upgraded to a new architecture. So yeah, I'm definitely of the generation who used it, and I have very fond memories of
it
that
was
computer that was based on the Z80.
the thing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah,
So Katie, think about this: you get
Yeah.
something that is the size of a tablet today.
Hmm.
Okay, probably a tablet stacked in thickness, right? It'll have keyboards on it. It won't be a screen; it will be a box, right? It'll have keyboards on it, um, and it'll have a plug that connects to the antenna input on your TV, and it had another plug that you will connect to tape recorder, an audio
cassette.
tape recorder, generic one from the 80s. Okay, and you will plug it into the power, and you'll get an image that shows some text on the screen, and you will type using those keys. You will type a command to load from the cassette tape, and you'll have your application recorded on that cassette tape.
Hmm.
It'll load. It'll take about a minute, and then it'll load a game or a spreadsheet application or whatever. Or if you didn't have a good enough cassette tape and the program wasn't too long, you'll have sheets of paper with the code that you would code in,
Code in.
and then you'll run. And you will hope to God that you didn't make a typo. Uh, and yeah, that's as a kid. I was a kid. My dad, my dad was he didn't really understand it. He liked it. He played with it a bit, but his friend is the one who hooked him up on it. His friend would use it for spreadsheet calculation. He would do his expenses, and he was an engineer, so he did also calculation for he was an um, air conditioning engineer, and so he would do his complex calculation there with a spreadsheet like application on it that he would load from tape, and he would save to tape and all that. It's uh, It was amazing technology when nothing like it existed.
I keep reminding people that Katie's dad and me, we were part of the TI 99 4A group. And back then, there was really no no way to communicate. There was a modem, but you can only connect to certain places.
You could
And
only connect to another modem, and there weren't any public spaces.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Katie's dad knew how to program in assembly. And he developed the communication protocol that the TI-99/4A could talk with the bulletin board. You would take that and you were loaded through a cassette in the beginning, but then we got a disk drive, a 5 1/4.
Ooh.
And that, I mean,
128 kilobytes.
yeah. No, what 512? This was
128.
128, yeah.
Yeah.
And we figured out how to make it a double-sided by punching the
Yeah.
side of it.
Yeah.
And just turn it over and have another 128. Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
I mean, it was fun back then. And yes, I did run my business back then, a car business, car repair, on that TI 994A through a spreadsheet that was on in a, I can't remember the name of the magazine, but it was like about a page and a half, and you typed it, and it took more than a day to type it in when somebody, but you could save it and then continue,
Yeah.
and from then on, that's it. You come, you turn on the machine, you turn on the tape, and you go and you warm up a cup of coffee, and you come back, and it's already loaded. Yeah, it was nice. It was nice back then.
Yeah.
I would. Do I want to go back to it? No, not to work on a computer that way. But yeah, Katie's dad, and he wrote a bunch of different things, games and utilities.
Yeah, he's impressive. When I was first learning Python, um, this was years ago, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna learn Python." He's like, "Oh, I used to code," and then he just like pulls out a game in a weekend. Meanwhile, I'm like struggling,
Yeah,
syntax
yeah.
errors and all this other stuff.
And it was something that he learned on his own.
Yep,
It wasn't like he went to school especially for that, which was amazing.
I'll have to let him know that he got a shout out in the show today.
Yep. All right. The U.S. House of Representatives just passed its long delayed Ukraine aid bill, but along with it, they also approved the bill banning TikTok
What?
if its Chinese owner does not sell the video app. So they put that, they added that on.
Of course they did.
Oh well.
Well, I mean, it's the push to shift the ownership for the U.S. side of the business to a U.S. entity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And another thing that they did, I mean, no, not them. Sorry. This was a Google thing. Google once, I mean, and I like that attitude there. Google, once known for its unconventional approach to business, has taken a decisive step toward becoming a more traditional company by firing 28 employees who participated in protests against a 1.2 billion contract with the Israeli government. The move comes after sit-in demonstrations on Tuesday at Google offices in Silicon Valley and New York City, where employees opposed the company's support for Project Nimbus, a cloud computing contract that argues harms Palestinians in Gaza. 9 employees were arrested during the protest. In a note to employees, I like this. CEO Sundar Pichai said, "We have a culture of vibrant, open discussion, but ultimately we are a workplace and our policies and expectations are clear. This is a business and not a place to act in a way that disrupts coworkers or makes them feel unsafe to attempt to use the company as a personal platform or to fight over disruptive issues or debate politics." This is about time that a company would say, "Hey, look, this is a place of business. Take that stuff out." And, and also they added that Project Nimbus contract is not directed at highly sensitive, classified, or military workloads relevant to weapons or intelligence services. It's just another cloud service. So yeah, it was all over the web for a couple of days, um, that they did that. And this is he took a stand, and he took the right stand. This is a business. Um, TCS, Infosys, and Wipro, India's top three IT firm, have collectively seen their work, uh, workforce shrink for the first time in at least 20 years. The trio reported a combined reduction of more than 63,000 and some employees in the financial year ending March 31st. That's like 20,000 employees for each, if you're looking at it. That's And what else we have? YouTube has updated. And by the way, the stream is still going with the on Facebook. I wasn't on Facebook, even though we played the intro, Katie.
Mm.
YouTube has updated its policies to no longer allow third-party apps to turn off ads. This appears to target mobile ad blockers like AdGuard, which lets you open YouTube within the ad blocking app, where you get to view videos interruption free. We only allow third party apps to use our API when they follow our API services terms of service, says YouTube. When we find an app that violates these terms, we will take appropriate action to protect our platform creators and viewers. To get around this, YouTube once again suggests signing up for the ad-free YouTube Premium. So yeah,
As you said earlier, it's a business.
it's a business,
And
absolutely.
it was expected.
Yeah. Yep. This is
I
how they
know.
make money.
I noticed a lot of people, or maybe not a lot, but some popular YouTubers are making their own streaming services, and I saw just recently a lot of fans are upset that there a lot of people from BuzzFeed over the past 15 years have left BuzzFeed and made their own YouTube channels, and they're pretty popular. And then a couple of those channels have like, oh, we're gonna make our own streaming service. You're gonna have to pay $6 a month, where previously this stuff was free, and now it's $6. Uh,
Yeah, but previously this stuff was free and was paid for by advertisers.
Right.
And on the other streaming options, right, you can pay directly and not get any advertising. So that's the only stream you're supporting the creator directly.
yeah.
Now,
Well, I understand that, but their gripe was that it was the $6 price point, um,
yeah,
and their
That's nothing.
content well, the content though, when compared to like Paramount Plus is $6 a month for ads, and so they were comparing it to other feeds, and they were just their fans were saying it doesn't justify the price point or them coming off because
You're right.
it's not enough content to justify. Now, there's other alternatives. Like I know with YouTube, they have subscription services where you pay and the money goes to the channel, or they can do a Patreon. That's what uh
Mm,
a lot of content creators will do is that they'll release
Right.
free content on YouTube, but if you want more content, then you pay them directly, which is a nice alternative.
Right. So I think what we're going to see is these one-off streaming services. They're going to die out eventually, uh, and they'll we'll probably see alternative streaming. I mean, we've already seen alternative streaming services, but I mean like less um, less focused on. Okay, let's put it this way. Sorry. Today you have YouTube, you have Twitch, Facebook, all of these streaming services, right? They work exactly the same way. Um, you get content, you can access it usually for free, and you get advertising, and maybe you can buy no, without advertising access, right? What we're going to see are more services like there's Skillshare, I think it's his name. But like video platforms where they're for for pay, exactly like Netflix and Hulu and stuff, but they're going to be like um, oriented to news, oriented to hobby, oriented, right? Very niche, or by celebrities that are going, like uh, what's it called? The satellite radio where you pay for
yeah,
access, right? Something like that, right? So it's just going to mean that there's going to be more alternative, but I think we're still going to see most of the content somehow on YouTube because they've been there the most
right.
and they
It's
have made enough people reach up on this point, right? And because every user has their client, that's what's going to happen, right? That's what we're going to see. We're just going to see more of these services that are branching off. They will try to make content that will um, convince their users to pay whatever fee they want. And I agree, $5 as a mandatory fee, right? Gain access to the same content that they would have created otherwise.
mhm.
Yeah, I agree. It's high, but then again, if you know that this goes primarily to the creator you want, maybe it's a good thing, right? Maybe it's for true fans only or something. So I don't know. I think the free services are gonna still be there because they've been working and they've been making money for everyone. Um, they've been proven to be effective, right? So it's not going away. It's just going. The landscape is gonna change again.
It has to.
It will always change. I think that's the most. That's the constant thing that we can say about our future. It's gonna be different.
Yeah. Otherwise, it will be really boring too.
Yeah.
Right?
In so the Z80, right? That's 30, 40, that's 50 years, right?
Yeah. 48. They say.
Yeah, 70 something, 75. They started the company, they started this. So
Yeah.
it's
They said
almost
that
50
it
years, right?
was 80
Yeah.
years since it was concept, but it's
Yeah,
48
yeah,
since
yeah.
it's yeah.
So in 20 years, we're going to say YouTube who because it's going to have a different name
Probably.
or a different what, right? Or something like that. Or yeah. Thing is going to change, right? And even if YouTube will still be the brand, right, it will not look
This
anywhere
Right.
similar to the way it does.
Or
I mean,
thought-
go to the Wayback Machine to YouTube at the beginning of 2000s, right? 2004, 2005, that's when this started, right? And look at that website. Yes, you can see it's YouTube, but you know it's not what you're using today, right? So
Ah. All right. It's that time of day. Anything else we want to talk about?
nope.
Nothing?
Nothing.
All right, well, then I guess that's it. Thanks, Katie. Thanks, Gal. Thanks, Spence. And Nick, I hope you're still asleep. You better still be asleep. And happy Passover to all our Jewish viewers. Tomorrow night, right?
Tomorrow night, yeah.
Yeah.
That is the Seder.
Yep, the Seder. The order. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Donna, Dina, Mati, Eleanor, Sarid, Yaakov, and Yael. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. And change any same passwords where you use them. Also, like Gal said, practice the 3-2-1 backup.
Three
rule.
copies.
Yeah.
2 storage types. 1 off-site.
Yep. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And remember, Monday through Friday, Nick is on Wilmington's 980 The Wave and 107.9 FM with his daily news and commentary show. You can tell your Echo device to play 980 The Wave, or you can go later on and to the recordings at nickcraig.com. And not Tuesday, but sometime during the week, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, Nick and Brian do the Infection podcast on Twitch. That's for gaming, survival games, and so forth. So go to infectionpodcast.com and see when it's going to be this week. Have a great week again. Take care.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.